Okay, we're live. Yes, happy Friday. I love having our weekly live stream. I'm so excited to connect with you. I can already see people chatting away. Yes, hello, hello. Hey, Girly C, welcome. We also have Kenny Vixen Music in the house. Who else we got? Drop a comment below. Let me know where you're joining from. One of the really cool things about our community here is that it's truly global. I get so excited to see where everyone's joining from, literally all over the world. And I was actually, fun little story. I was reviewing where my orders have been coming in from for my mini consultations, which are the little like 10-minute video recordings I do for folks. And it's been from all over the world. It's just so cool. Let's see. Yeah. Hello. We have Mia. We have Robin from AZ. I'm assuming that's Arizona. Arizona. I like Arizona. I've been there. Been there a couple times actually. Let me know where in Arizona. I love the Sedona area. It's just my little woo-woo side gets really excited about that. And Paul says he's here. Hey everybody, I hope you've had a good week. I hope you've had a good week too, Paul. It's good. Kenny Vixen Music, Oregon. That's where I was born. Kenny Vixen Music, where are you in Oregon? Yeah, that's like my roots. My roots, the Pacific Northwest. We've got Girly C from the Philippines. Let's see. Robin said yes from Arizona. Someone else. Oh my gosh, now you're all going in so fast. Let me see if I can catch up. We've got Scottsdale, Arizona. I've been in Scottsdale too. Yeah, flew into Phoenix and then drove up to Sedona. Arizona is such a cool state. Really, really interesting landscapes. Paul says still live in England. You go, Paul. Yes. Kenny Vixen Music says Southern Oregon. Gosh, I love it. I love it. And Girly C, did I miss you? No, Tiffany. Tiffany, I don't think I got you. Prescott, Arizona. We got two from Arizona. And Girly C, I think we already talked about how you're from the Philippines. So yes, beautiful. Thank you so much for joining on this Friday afternoon. At least that's what it is where I am in New England. We're in the afternoon officially. I hope you've had a wonderful week. We have so much to get into as usual. Oh, and by the way, Sadie is here. The Carrot Princess is in attendance. I have her carrots cut up. She's already just zoned out in my lap, so I'm not going to disturb her because there's been a lot going on in my building today. And so it's been a little hard for her to, just regulate. So I'm going to let her nap and just chill. But I imagine she will make an appearance at some point because she is the Carrot Princess, which someone mentioned to me the other day. They're like, if you do merch, you should do merch with Sadie. And I was like, I might need to think about that. Because she is just a special little being. Can you imagine having like a little Sadie on your shirt? Oh my gosh. So let's talk about the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni case. Of course, we'll get into that because as always, every week that comes, there's just more and more and more. And it's so interesting. Let me know what your take is. Like, what do you think are the hot topics from the lawsuit this week? I was thinking about this earlier in the week and was reflecting on all these depositions, right? I think I titled this live like deposition developments because they just seem to be popping up all over the place. These various depositions on both sides, really. And then of course, in the last 24 hours or so, I think something popped up on the docket for the PR case side of things, and Van Zandt is coming up as another potential deposition. So we're going to look at the depositions that at least have been publicized on the docket recently. I did a video this week on the upcoming supposedly Jed Wallace deposition on October. Is it October? What date is it? October 9th is when Jed Wallace apparently is going to be deposed. But there were some interesting astrological connections that I've been mulling over this whole week that I want to share with you in case it's of interest to you. And let's see what you all are saying in the chat, saying hello to each other. Carrots, bunnies. Yes, carrot princess. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just appreciate how all of you chit chat with each other. Tiffany says, my doggy loves strawberries and carrots. I have not tried strawberries with Sadie. I've done blueberries. I might need to try strawberries. Blueberries, she'll like take it and then she'll carry it off to some place in my apartment and then just drop it. She won't eat it. I don't know what. I mean, she likes it. She wants to take it from me, but she just doesn't realize that she can eat them, or maybe she doesn't like the taste. So I have to be really careful after I give her blueberries, because as I walk around my apartment, it's very possible that I'll just step on a blueberry and get mush blueberry all over the place. But strawberries, I might have to put that one on the list to try and see. I thought, Mia says, I thought Sadie was a bunny. She kind of hops around like a bunny. Yeah, no, she's a very precocious, yes, stubborn, charismatic miniature Australian Shepherd. And maybe you'll get to meet her, Mia, as we get into this. Can you mix the music? Says, I make smoothies from blueberry, strawberry, like carrots, apples. Lol. I know, it's just crazy. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, let's get into the content for today. So as I mentioned, I was making notes. It would be so funny if you could see like what's in my notebook, because this notebook is just full of my little scratchings, right? I write down things. I have to process it by writing it out. I find that I don't, especially with this case, Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, because there's so many details. There's so much going on. And then of course, because I layer on top the astrology analysis, if I just read things on my computer screen, it's harder for me to retain it. Do you have to do that too? Do you have to like handwrite it out? So anyway, this notebook is full of just dates and astrological symbols and weird phrases. I'm sure if people saw it, they'd be like, what is this? But I was jotting down all the depositions and looking at the astrology of it. I don't have a slide prepared for you on this today. I know the ex-consultant in me, she's just a little tired this week, and I couldn't put all this in a slide, but I will read it off to you because this is what I noted. Okay, so these are the key dates for depositions. We had, if we go back to July, right? Everyone remember Blake Lively's deposition? It was July 31st. That was an interesting astrological event because it was Mercury cazimi. Cazimi in astrology means Mercury, the planet of communication, of travel, of movement, of language, commerce too. I often forget to include that because Mercury can be connected to business. And as so often comes up in this case, it's connected to lawyers. And Mercury cazimi means Mercury, and all those significations, right, was exactly conjunct the sun on July 31st when Blake Lively gave her deposition. And this is a really significant event in astrology because even just think about it, with a planet coming to the exact same point as the sun, often it can be associated with a moment of clarity, insight. Now, granted, because we're the public, and at least I don't know about you, but I don't have insider sources. I don't have sources besides like Google, ChatGPT, if I'm feeling up for it, and the court docket. So keep in mind that when we talk about these things like Mercury cazimi and this big moment of insight, sometimes I think we might get that information publicly through publicly available sources. It's also very possible that the folks directly involved in the lawsuit, right, the Wayfair parties, the Lively crew, they might have been experiencing it at an even more profound level because they're actually seeing the information, hearing the information that's coming to the surface. Whereas we, as the spectators, who knows, we might get a little bit of it coming out, we might not. So that was really significant. And I did a whole video on that. I can't believe July feels like that long ago. We're almost in October. But if you're curious, there's a video on my channel where I talk about the significance of Blake Lively's deposition. Then for other depositions this week, look at my notes. We had Vivian Baker. It came out in the docket that Vivian Baker, which is Blake Lively's makeup artist, was deposed on September 12th. Guess what? It wasn't exact, but on September 13th, there was another Mercury Cazimi. Not in the same sign, obviously, but again, this moment of insight, of clarity. And that might be one that in this live, we kind of unpack, and I pull up the chart so you can see it, because there's some interesting energy around that Mercury Cazimi on the 13th. And we had Vivian Baker have her deposition. Steve Sarowitz also had his deposition, at least according to the docket, on September 15th. So really interesting, those associations. Also on the court docket this week, we had more depositions. It's like you get a deposition, you get a deposition, you get a deposition, right? Because we were already aware that Jamie Heath, I mean, it wasn't confirmed, but in a court document not that long ago, it was revealed that Jamie Heath was supposed to have his deposition September 18th to 19th. So this is a packed deposition schedule, because also Warren Zavala, correct me if you know the correct pronunciation of his name, and Danny Greenberg. Those were two other depositions that were referenced. And Vivian Baker, the makeup artist, Warren Zavala. I'm going to run with Zavala. Okay, for now, I'm just going to say that. Warren Zavala, which I believe was or is Lively's talent agent, and Danny Greenberg, who I think, correct me if I'm wrong, was Baldoni's talent agent associated with WME. Those three people, they're actual sealed exhibits on the docket for those depositions. Now, will we see what's in those? I really hope so. I hope so. That would be really interesting, especially because I was looking at the astrology for those three folks in particular, and it's pretty intriguing, which we'll get into. So, and Robin says, sounds right. Are you talking about Zavala? Yeah, we'll run with it. We'll run with it. Zavala. Apologies, Warren, if that's incorrect. And it just keeps getting better, because we also saw reference to Justin Baldoni having his deposition September 21st to the 22nd, which we've talked about before at length in videos, in live streams, because that was really interesting how it was lining up with the eclipse, with the sun moving into Virgo. And I forgot to mention for that cluster of depositions, September 18th to the 19th, that would be Jamie Heath, Warren Zavala, and Danny Greenberg. Those were connected to Mercury and Venus changing signs. Okay, so I'll summarize all this at the end once we get to it, but there's a little bit more. And then I'm going to share with you what I'm seeing real time with the astrology. And I'm like, ooh, this is interesting. Okay, here's some insights, some key takeaways. But three more depositions to mention, because October 6th, according to another court document, is apparently when Justin Gray Stone is supposed to be deposed. Also, that's a day when Mercury changes signs. Mercury goes into Scorpio. Jed Wallace, October 9th, as I've already mentioned. And yes, Van Zandt, who said it? Who said it? You guys are mentioning it in the chat. Mia says, I hope the Zanzam. The Van Zandt. I know there's this question of, will the deposition of Van Zandt, someone TBD, right? Someone TBD. I don't know if that's been selected yet. Maybe I'm behind on my Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni news for the day. But the last I heard in a breakdown from someone, maybe it was not actually Golden. Has she done one yet? that it's pretty standard if a deposition is requested from a company, that the company then needs to identify someone to represent that company in a deposition who can speak to the details of what is being requested as part of that deposition. So we'll see that add that to the list. Add that to the list. Mia says, I mean Van Zam. I kind of like Zam too. I was going to roll with it because I think they're both actually pretty funny. Okay. Van Zam. So, and Taylor Swift, right? In the midst of all of this, there's this other deposition question of, will Taylor Swift actually work with the Wayfarer parties and be deposed prior to the deadline? Because the extension was denied from the judge. Originally, it sounded like Taylor Swift, well, her team was saying she could be available if it's necessary closer to the end of October, but that extension was denied. So that's a lot of depositions. And what I was noticing, let me pull up my notes here. Where did I put that down? I think what I want to say about the astrology around all of these depositions as a group, collectively, I find it really interesting that, first of all, we see a lot of activity with the planet Mercury, which makes sense, right? From what we've been talking about, communication, language, movement, and travel even, because from what I understand, for depositions in this case, in general, I think this is probably a rule that any of the parties can come to the deposition, and many of them would be traveling depending on where that deposition is being held. So obviously we have the theme of communication, we have the theme of travel, we have the theme of lawyers, all very mercurial significations in the realm of astrology. So as we said, these depositions are associated with Mercury cazimi, Mercury being conjunct the sun. They're associated, some of them, with Mercury changing signs, literally moving from one astrology sign to another, representing a shift in energy. So connected to this idea of these depositions, these conversations, churning up a lot of information. What else did I notice? You know, there are some connections too with these depositions with Venus changing signs. So around the time of the Heath deposition, apparently, Zavala, Greenberg, Venus was moving into the sign of Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury. So that underscores the Mercury connection. And Venus was also changing sign, or will change sign, rather. Venus will change sign on October 13th, which is a few days after the Jed Wallace deposition. I wonder if the Van Zandt deposition, if that'll, did I understand it correctly that supposedly is supposed to happen September 30th? We'll see if that actually goes through. I wouldn't be surprised if that shifts. I have my theories based on astrology, but we'll see. Do you think the Van Zandt deposition will go through or not? And just to circle back to the Venus point, the reason why I bring up Venus is because Venus is the planet of relationships. And oh gosh, isn't this lawsuit just such a chaotic case study in relationship and loyalty, sometimes to a fault, these webs of relationships, power dynamics, whatever side you're on, slice it and dice it however you want. The power of relationship and who bonds with who remains connected to who versus others and adversaries. So that's a very Venus theme as well. So that's my little tangent about all the depositions. What I'm noticing astrologically, I'm thinking about taking us through a little more detailed look at Vivian Baker and that deposition. I was debating whether to do a separate video on it, just like I did the Jed Wallace one, and maybe I still will. this could be a little preview. But let me see what you all are seeing in the chat. Yes, yes, yes. Shannon OS says motion to compel is denied by Judge Lyman. Which motion to compel are you referencing? Did that just come through? Obviously, since I'm on the live stream, I haven't checked my email. So let us know. Did that just come through? Because if that's the motion to compel Van Zandt, that could be pretty significant. Maybe hot off the press. And Robin, I hope I'm saying that right, Robin, says she was in the trailer with Blake, the makeup artist. I'm guessing you're talking about Vivian Baker, the makeup artist. Yes. And on that note, let's look at Vivian Baker. Did I say bacon? I hope I didn't. This Invisalign, I swear. Sometimes I'm just like dealing with it. Oh, people are saying Van Zandt just got denied. Do I dare open my email? Oh my God. Let me open my email. And maybe look at this real time. Oh wait, this is this would be on the other court docket. That's why I'm so confused. Do you want me to look at it, or do you want to look at Vivian Baker in the astrology? Vote in the chat, because I can look at the hot off the press, or I can look at the Vivian Baker. People are saying it's a huge disappointment. Okay, I've got to vote. Don't, oh, Katie Mixon. Don't look at it. It's maddening. Oh, I feel like I'm going to have to look at it at some point. Oh boy. Okay. I see a couple votes for Baker. Okay. I'm going to hold off. How about that? I'll look at, because I want to do what you think would be fun. And we'll go look at Vivian Baker. I'm going to hold back on looking at the motion to compel denial, apparently from Judge Lyman around Van Zandt. And maybe it'll turn into a video if there's something astrological going on there. We'll see. Junior Jangle says, so happy you're here on YouTube on a live. You're so beautiful. Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you. Happy to be here. Like I said, out of the craziness of the summer, I'm just so happy this is where we've landed. We've got our little community. I still think we'll meet on Friday afternoons, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time zone. That works out well on my end. I was considering changing it, but I think for October, we'll stick with that. We might stick with that for a little while and then reassess come the new year, which that's going to fly. Like that's going to come faster than I care to admit. So, okay. Let's look into Vivian, but then Tiffany, you had a quick question. Can you do an astrology analogy on Judge Lyman? I don't have his information, right? Like to my knowledge, it's not publicly available. So it's kind of hard to do that. And then Olivier, welcome, Olivier. Another great way to end my week for me in France, Friday evening. Welcome. Okay, Vivian Baker, we need better news. Okay, well, I don't know if it's going to be better news, Shannon, but we'll try. Let me get the information really here. So just to recap, so everyone's on the same page, there was a filing from, was it Ellen Garofalo? I believe it was Garofalo, submitted a filing. This was in response to the lively motion for attorney fees, all the things, all the money, right? And I believe it was in this response that Garofalo included 3 exhibits, okay? And each exhibit was in reference to a specific deposition that occurred in September. And one of those depositions, one of those exhibits is theoretically actual content from the deposition for Vivian Baker, who, as I understand it, is Blake Lively's longtime makeup artist? Question mark. But that deposition occurred on September 12th. So let me pull up Blake. It'll just take a moment. I'm going to pull up Blake Lively's chart, and then I'm going to put in the information. I don't know if we have a time for the deposition. Now, wouldn't that be fun? If we had a time for the deposition, then we could do some really nerdy astrology analysis. But for now, I'll just put it at 10 a.m. I'm guessing New York. We'll run with it for now. Let me share my screen. First of all, though, I got to close down my email because I almost opened it up. Sharing screen. We're going to pull up my astrology software. I'm going to add to stage. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen. I got to resituate a little bit. I have an old side note. I have an old spine injury from years ago when I competed in Olympic weightlifting, actually. And one of the triggers for my discomfort is sitting too long. And when I have Sadie in my lap, which she's in my lap right now, for those who joined a little late, Sadie is here. She's in attendance. She's just in my lap. Sometimes it triggers a little bit of my spine discomfort. So if you see me like resituating, don't worry, it's all good. Okay, so here we go. Blake Lively's chart. We have the transits for September 12th when Vivian Baker was deposed. And my notes, what was I saying here? So take me a moment to figure this out. Let me move some stuff around on my screen. Okay, hopefully you can see my pointer on the screen. But what I find really interesting, we mentioned Mercury Cazimi. So let me show you what this looks like in an actual astrology chart when Mercury, the planet of communication, is conjunct the sun, which brings an illumination. So in this chart, we have Mercury at 19 degrees of Virgo and the sun at 20 degrees of Virgo. So over the course of that day, if I advance this just a few hours, you'll see planets start to move. And at some point, Mercury is going to move past the sun. Looks like it was early. We're almost there. Okay, very early hours of September 13th. So it wasn't exact, the Mercury Cazimi, but very, very close. So those themes around insight, illumination, clarity, who knows? I mean, we can't see the sealed document, and I don't even know if that's the whole deposition. I would think not. Maybe it's just an excerpt. Who knows? And who knows if we'll ever see what that is, but some sort of information coming to light around that time. The other thing that stood out to me, let's see. So specifically, this was also, oh, Sadie needs a carrot because somebody just opened a door out in the hallway. We also, you might be able to hear that little puppy ASMR carrot. So on that day, there was also some interesting movement with Mars. Let me show you where that is. Well, first of all, let me back this up because we need to go to the 12th, back to the 12th. Yeah, I know, sweetheart. Sadie's getting a little impatient. So Mars in Libra, in Blake Lively's third house, was forming a sextile with her natal, meaning it's in her birth chart, Uranus at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. So notice how Mars is at 23 degrees, Uranus is at 22 degrees. I believe this was exact on the 11th. So again, it's not perfect. It's not exact, but what does it mean to have Mars, the planet of separation, severance, cutting? Like that is the core essence, the core energy of Mars as a planet, which is why it can sometimes be connected to themes around conflict, courage, taking action in some way. It's that slicing, dicing, separating, severing energy. Mars in Blake Lively's third house of communication was forming a sextile with her natal Uranus, which Uranus is a planet of disruption, of the unexpected, the unanticipated, something happening counter to the norm that we would usually expect or anticipate. And that's in her fifth house, Sagittarius, which can relate to creativity, creative projects, all the above. So I find it really interesting that around this time that Vivian Baker was being deposed, we had Mercury conjunct the Sun, this moment of information and clarity. And we also have Mars, a planet that cuts, that severs in an unexpected way. That's the energy, that's the essence of Mars sextile Uranus. Now, here's the thing about a sextile, because when we go to interpret these ideas, these energies, these concepts, in my opinion, a sextile is a choice point. It's not a guarantee. It's a choice point, meaning it can be a little bit more subtle because it's maybe a situation that presents itself where we have to decide. Do we go left or do we go right? Do we say yes or do we say no? Little puppy ASMR for you with the carrots and Sadie. She's a little unsettled, so I'm just keep feeding her. So what choice was Vivian presented with in that deposition? What choices, maybe? What choice points was she encountering where she had to decide, what am I going to do with this? Right? Once again, Blake Lively's third house of communication, but also her creative projects. From what I understand, Vivian Baker was the makeup artist who was in the trailer for this filming experience, which is a creative project of Blake Lively's. So that's how we can start to unpack some of the energy around this deposition. What do you think that means? Yeah, Robin says, backing Blake or telling the truth, right? Like there's a choice point. So who knows how she was approaching that. But the other thing I want to add here too, also someone gave Leo a shout out. Leo, I know Leo always comes in at the beginning and hypes everything up. And I love Leo. You do a great job. Yes, great job as a moderator. 35 watching, 35 likes. Woo, woo, woo. And that's everybody here. So thank you. If you're watching, if you're live and you're liking the live stream, I appreciate that. And also always thanking Leo to just bringing in the energy. Bringing it in, bringing it in. Let's see what else you're saying. Junior Jangle says, do you have merch yet? Meaning our Janessa t-shirts, tinfoil hats. I don't think I'd ever put my face on a t-shirt. I don't know. I don't think I could do that. But put Sadie's face on a t-shirt, that I could do. That I could potentially do. A t-shirt, or I don't know what else. I have to think about that. If you have ideas, or if you're watching this on the replay, as usual, drop a carrot emoji below for little Miss Sadie, and let me know what you think about merch. I don't even know the first thing I'd have to do to get merch, honestly. I think I would need to do some research on that. Yeah, I'm a one-woman show here, so it might take me some time to figure that stuff out. And Junior Jangle says, love the astrology reading, so fascinating. Thank you. I'm glad you're getting something out of it. Yeah, my hope as always, with covering this lawsuit and this story, is to educate around astrology. That was my original intention for this channel. It has remained my intention for this channel, even though I somehow got caught up in this story somehow. Who knows if that'll ever come to light. But yeah, that's always my intention, which reminds me, I do make sure, and I need to double check for this live stream, make sure it's in there. But whenever I'm talking about the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni story, I also want to call attention to a nonprofit. If you ever want to consider donating to one, it is called Rosie's Place, and it's a women's shelter and organization in the Boston area. And they do wonderful, wonderful work. So I like to take the moments that I have on my little soapbox or my little description for the videos to say, we can also bring our attention back to an organization that's doing amazing work with women and their loved ones, just in the spirit of what I think was an original intention for this project. You may agree with that. You may disagree with that. I don't know. But if I'm going to have a few seconds of your time, I'd like to redirect it there as well. So, yeah. Tiffany says, if you do a Sadie t-shirt, then you need treat containers that say Sadie sanctioned treats. I know. Poor girl has allergies. Okay. Poor Sadie has some pretty severe allergies. She's not a special needs dog. I would describe her as a high needs dog. Like, she's on multiple medications. She's got some tummy issues, some allergies. And yeah, she definitely has to have Sadie sanctioned treats, and carrots are on that list. Okay. Let's see if there's something else before we wrap up the Vivian Baker discussion. I think the only other thing I'd note is this is on the 13th, September 13th. I believe Venus in Blake Lively's first house was forming a trine. Yeah, let's advance this a little bit and I'll show you. Since I'm not editing this video, I can't put the little, like in my recorded videos, I put little red circles over everything so you can see them a little easier. I hope you can see my cursor okay. I don't know if you can. But if you look at Blake Lively's first house, Venus is at 22 degrees of Leo. So that means in addition to Mars at 23 degrees of Libra forming a sextile, a choice point with Blake Lively's natal Uranus, the planet of the unexpected, of the unanticipated, at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. We also had Venus at 22 degrees of Leo forming a trine. And a trine represents flowing energy, no constraint, okay? What does it mean to have energy flow in the context of a deposition? What opens up? And Venus is a planet connected to women. So it's also interesting that this deposition occurring in this little pocket of time from September 11th to September 13th, it was on the 12th specifically. That wasn't with a man. That was with Vivian Baker, female makeup artist. So does that mean that Vivian Baker just let it all flow? Let all that information flow? Is there some sort of separation occurring there between them? I don't know. It's hard to, I don't use astrology to predict specific outcomes. Like, until it's confirmed what exactly Vivian Baker said or didn't say, I don't know either way. But I do find it interesting from an astrological analysis, from an energy perspective, that I think that there's a possibility of that. But again, it's a choice point. That's sextile. It doesn't mean that it happens automatically. It's a choice point. So did Vivian say something that, in a sense, doesn't confirm Blake Lively's story? Is that the flow of information? Is the separation or the severance that comes as a result of that? I don't know. We'll have to see. I really hope that deposition comes to light. Now, if that deposition comes to light and it seems that Vivian Baker in that deposition is actually backing up Blake Lively's story and her perspective. That's also another potential interpretation of the energy. This is why I don't use astrology to predict specific outcomes, because once again, Venus trine Uranus, that's the planet of our relationships and our bonds. And who knows where that goes. As far as that relationship, how deep that connection is between Blake and Vivian. I don't know. And where's the truth in all of that? That's the other question, right? Robin says, did she tell more than Blake wanted? I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Oh, Chief James says, that's exactly what we need, a t-shirt with your face on it. I'm holding Sadie. That's funny. Like I said, I don't know about mine. I don't know about my face on a t-shirt. I don't know. But Sadie, Sadie, King Princess, that's one of her nicknames, King Princess. Just so you know, Carrot Princess, King Princess, because she's got like king energy, but also princess energy. Oh. Okay, Tiffany has an astrology question. Will the first quarter moon on Monday night play an effect in how the planets play together? The Van Sham deposition is Tuesday, so wondering how that energy works. That's a great question, Tiffany. I love your questions, Tiffany. You always just like bring it with such good ones. I need to look closer at that September 30th date to see, because I think there was a time listed with that too. So like 10 a.m. Eastern in New York, like we actually got the deets, which I get so excited about when I see a date and a time and a location. I'm like, oh, okay, this is astrology gold. So I believe there was reference at least to some sort of deposition potentially with Van Sham, although people were saying in the chat that it was just denied. So I don't know, I have to go look. But if a deposition is occurring 10 a.m. on the 30th, and I would need to take a closer look at the astrology of that date. I'm looking down at my notes here because honestly, September 30th, I don't believe September 30th had a lot of transits going on. Yes, potentially first quarter moon Monday night, but when I was looking at Blake Lively's chart, Justin Baldoni's chart, that wasn't a date that really stood out to me. I do have other dates though, that again, I haven't put in a pretty slide for you all, but I do have some upcoming dates that I might mention just for funsies as a preview of some things that might come. Yes. Do you want to do that? I was just looking at the chat to catch up. Do you want me to mention some datey dates? Let's see. Because again, with the depositions we were talking about, which was the main focus for this live stream, going through that list of the depositions and the dates that they were occurring, we saw some important connections with the planet Mercury, the planet Venus, this connection to planets changing signs. And also keep in mind, we have a Mercury retrograde coming up not that long from now. What's going to get churned up with Mercury retrograde in November? I am so interested to see, because I think that could be a hot spot of time. And Mia says the Zanzam. Zanzam. That's just going to make me clap every time, Mia. The Zanzam appeal got denied, but I think they can still do the deposition. Okay, I'll take a closer look at it, and maybe actually let me note that down, because maybe that's a topic for a video that I do next week. Because today, little sneak preview, I just recorded a video for the astrology of October for everybody, right? It's all of the transits that impact all of us. So I just recorded that today. I need to get it edited and out to you probably, I'll shoot for Monday. I try not to work as much on the weekends, but and with being a small business owner, it's sort of like I basically work every day. I mean, I love my work. I love my work. So, that's fine with me. But at least by Monday, I'll get that October astrology video out to you, and we'll see if I can add. I'm having to be a lot more organized about my content creation these days, because my goal has always been to do 2 videos for Astrology with Janessa every week, which I think I've been pretty consistent with recently. And I think there have even been some weeks where I put out 3 videos. So that's my goal, to do 2 videos for Astrology with Janessa. But then I also have 2 other YouTube channels. I'm crazy. I know, I'm crazy. I have Astrology with Janessa, I have Health Sense with Janessa, and then I just have my personal channel too. So 3 channels. I'm trying to put out 1 video a week for those other 2. So that's 4 YouTube videos a week, which is a lot. But I'm really enjoying the challenge of like building up my capacity, because I feel like with the subpoena, I can actually I can call myself a content creator. I still have to pinch myself sometimes. Weird situation, but here we are. So I'm trying to build up my capacity is what I'm saying, and be more consistent with everything. Mia says, my birthday is in October. Ooh, happy early birthday. I love October. October is my favorite month. So yes. Are you going to make an appearance? Sadie's shifting around a lot. Oh, I totally lost my train of thought. I just get so excited and caught in the moment. Oh, I was going to tell you some dates coming up. We'll do that, and then we'll probably wrap it up here soon, unless people have some fun astrology questions. Okay. Dates to watch, which this will be in addition to the dates that I included in my recent video called something along the lines of like upcoming outer planet transits for Lively and Baldoni, because in that video, I specifically look at the outer planets. So Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, and the nodes of the moon. And I look at upcoming important dates for those outer planets. And there are quite a few. There are some in October. October 13th is a date that I'm fascinated by. So we'll have to see what comes up then. But in that video, I didn't address transits necessarily with Mercury or Venus or Mars or the sun, mostly because those planets, those points move faster. And so there are going to be a lot more of them. So I might be able to do that kind of analysis. We'll see. It's a larger analysis. The outer planets, they just move slower. So there are fewer major transits over time to Blake Lively's chart, Justin Baldoni's chart, your chart, my chart. But these are some dates that I would say to pay attention to. We've already mentioned one of them, which is October 6th. That's the day that Justin Gray Stone, I believe, is scheduled to be deposed. That's the day that Mercury changes sign and moves into the sign of Scorpio. So once again, we've seen from our review of the depositions that when Mercury changes signs, sometimes something big happens. What's the matter? You getting a little fussy? We'll wrap it up soon, Sadie, I promise. Okay, October 13th, which is a major day for the outer planet transits for Lively and Baldoni. But in addition to that, Venus changes signs. So again, when some of these depositions popped up, Venus also changed signs. So Venus moves into Libra on October 13th. I would watch that. I'm also intrigued by October 20th. Mercury is going to be conjunct Mars. Mercury, lawyers, information, communication, and Mars, the planet that cuts, the planet that severs. And that's in the sign of Scorpio, which is also where Blake Lively's Pluto is located. And Justin Baldoni has multiple planets in the sign of Scorpio. So I'm intrigued by that Mercury conjunct Mars date, October 20th. Let's see. And maybe I just create a whole video on this stuff. I'll do the rest of October, and then we'll save November for another time. But another date in October that stands out to me is October 22nd. That'll be the date that Neptune moves from Aries back into the sign of Pisces. So that's an outer planet, slower moving planet, and it's changing signs. And these are transits that are happening for all of us, by the way, right? These are not specific to Blake Lively or Justin Baldoni, but we often find through our coverage of this lawsuit that there are often events in the lawsuit on these particular days with these major transits. And on the same day, October 22nd, we also have the sun moving into Scorpio. So we'll see what happens there. And then October 29th, that's when Mercury changes signs again, and it moves into Sagittarius. So to recap, October 6th, October 13th, October 20th, October 22nd, I can't get my fourth finger out there, and October 29th. And these are all captured in that video that I just recorded today that I mentioned, the astrology of October. So that'll come out soon. So that's a little preview. I would add those dates to the ones that I've already mentioned, and we'll just have to see what happens. That's what I have for you all. Like I said, we'll reserve some of the conversation for November for another time. There are definitely some dates in November that I would pay attention to in relationship to the case, in addition to the outer planet ones that I've already mentioned. So that's it. Let me check the chat, see if anyone has questions. Today was a little interesting mix. We did a recap of the depositions, all the recent depositions that have been on the radar for the case. We looked at the astrology associated with those depositions. We used that astrology to then come up with a list of those dates that I said, hey, pay attention to what happens. And we did a little deep dive on the chart for Vivian Baker's deposition on September 12th. So we covered a lot of ground. We covered a lot of ground. Mia says, my brother's a Scorpio, my mother's a Taurus. Interesting, because those are opposite signs in the chart. And then Paul says, is October the busiest month for changes? It really depends. Like if we're looking at it from an astrological perspective, it really depends on someone's individual chart, right? I mean, there are transits in the sky that everybody's experiencing. And it's going to light up, different parts of my chart versus your chart, Paul, or someone else's chart, Sudeep's chart. Hi, Sudeep, I see you there in the chat. And that depends. So yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to say a blanket statement. I would say overall that 2025 has been a pretty big year of pivots and changes. And a lot of that associated with astrology and what's going on. So yeah, loads of names and dates to look out for. I know I'm just like a Rolodex of just dates and names and what to see. And I don't know which way's up, which way's down in this case. Nicole says, so nice to catch a live with you. I'm glad you will do it on Fridays. I don't have school. I love your insights. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much, Nicole. I'm so glad you were able to make it. Yeah, we'll keep it to Fridays for October. I think the same time, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. And I try to create, excuse me, the live stream and the link and all of that a few days in advance. So I don't know what's been happening. It seems like my YouTube stats have kind of started coming down a bit. I think it's natural, right? I think it's the natural progression. My channel got a lot of attention because of the subpoena. Things have dropped off. So my subscriber count's been going down. My view count's been going down. It's just right? We expand, we contract. We expand, we contract. It's the nature of things and moving through seasons. But the reason why I bring that up is because if you ever are wondering, hey, I don't know if I've seen a video from Janessa recently. I don't know how the YouTube algorithm works, how it prioritizes things, but you can always go to my posts tab on my channel. I make sure to put a little post out once that live stream is created for the week. So you can go there, you can click notify me if you want. And that's a great way of staying connected. I think there's another way to get notified too, right? Like if you click the little bell, I should know this. I think if you click the little bell for my channel, you'll get notifications as well when I upload. Don't quote me on that. But I believe that's a way to do it as well. Which reminds me, Paul, your question about what's the busiest month for changes? So I'm trying to be also, in addition to a good content creator, like a good businesswoman. So I want to make sure to highlight that if you are ever interested in diving deeper into the astrology and looking at your chart, I have one-on-one sessions available. The way that you would sign up for that or schedule that is in all my videos. I have a link to my newsletter. When you sign up to my newsletter, you receive a confirmation email from me. And in that email, there's a link to my calendar where you can just go ahead and book. You can look at my calendar, see what's available, and purchase a session from there. Another way that you could work with me if you're interested, and I've been loving doing these videos, I also have a link to mini consultations where you give me your information and I cast your chart and I record a personal video for you, about 10 minutes, 9 to 11 minutes, somewhere in there. And I talk about your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, and the planetary ruler of your chart. I've been having so much fun doing these videos for folks. So if you want to do that, that's another way to do some work with me. When I do see something interesting beyond just sun sign, moon sign, rising sign, and planetary ruler, I try to throw that in too, because I'll look at kind of other parts of your chart and just highlight some key characteristics. Oh, Olivier, thank you so much. Olivier says those mini consultations are so wonderful, done by my mom just did hers. Thank you so much, Olivier, for sharing that and that you got value out of that. I appreciate you so much. It was so fun to do your consultation and then also do the one for your mom. Just so precious. Which also I learned, even if, let's say, English is not your first language or your primary language, I did learn recently while doing these videos that my editing software allows me to translate and dub things. I don't know how accurate it is, but I just say that in case, you want to do something like that, but you're like, I don't know if I'd really want it in English. I'd like it in a different language. We could potentially translate it and dub it as well, just to make it more accessible. So those are two ways that you can work with me if you're interested. I'd love to connect with you. And I also have another idea for a product. I'm going to drop it and I'm curious from this community if this is something you'd be interested in. I'm still kind of framing up what it would look like, but similar to going through the astrology of the upcoming month for everyone. So that video that's going to drop on Monday, the astrology of October, the forecast, I've been thinking, how fun would it be to do personalized forecasts for people, where I take the astrology of the month and a person's birth chart, and I actually break it down for you as an individual. Because the general transits for everybody, that's very helpful. Often we'll notice things in our lives that line up with what's happening for everybody. And often there are very, very specific things that are going on in our birth charts that are not captured in something that I can do in a general video for everyone on YouTube. I'd have to actually look at your chart. So I'm still like formulating what that could look like, but I've just loved doing the recorded videos so much for people. It's like, what else would be interesting there? The challenge is I could only work with a very small number of people, just because it's an in-depth process, and it's something that I would do every month for people. So just throwing it out there. If you have any other ideas, like what kind of personalized videos you'd enjoy, yeah, I'll plant that seed. You let me know if we should water it. But I think we'll wrap it up here. And the chat looks great. Once again, thank you so much for your participation, for your support. Thank you to everyone watching it on replay. I think I already said drop a carrot emoji below if you're watching on replay. So yes, drop that carrot emoji. And on that note, I'll try to stir the princess. I'll try to see if Sadie can say goodbye real quick to everyone. I don't know if she'll like it very much, but we'll see. We'll see if I can coax her up. Yeah. Oh, hi. She's like, Mom, I was just napping. This is her I was just napping face. Do you want carrot? Oh, my little baby. She's so precious. She's spilling carrots all over my lap. I think I have to go clean off my lap and get her outside for a pate. I know. Carrots from Roses Wild, carrots from Darla, carrots from Sudeep. I agree, Nicole. Oh, oh, my heart. I know. Too cute. Louis says she's so adorable. I know she is. She's also sassy. She is so stubborn and sassy. Like, you all see her sweet mode, Sadie sweet mode. Like, I'm just in a nap. I'm getting fed carrots. I'm so happy. Girl can test my patience. I'm not going to lie. She can test my patience. But that's just because she's so smart. Janessa has been great again. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully I'll see you next Friday. And if not, just keep on the lookout for videos. Thank you so much. And I look forward to connecting again soon. Bye.